Hey guys, so I am back with another video today. I am finishing off this Starbucks Venti cup we have been working on. We already did the lid, we already did the logo, and now we are doing the rest of the cup. If you haven't seen those videos, I will link them on the description below so you can go back and look at them if you want, okay? So, as you can tell, I am beginning off by blinging out around the logo. It is just something I like to do to get it out of the way, and it's not causing me problems when I am blinging out the rest of the cup. So go ahead and do that. I am using epoxy glue. It's a Bob Smith 30-minute cure glue, okay? So you can get it off Amazon. I think it's like 15 bucks and it will last you forever. It is a small package, but it will last you forever. So I am also using SS20 for the cup. That's what I use for the lid, and that is what I am using for the cup. So as you can see, I am done blinging out around the logo, and I am going to be blinging out the rest of the cup. Now this is how it looks so far. So if you saw the other video, I already filed around the logo because I don't want to scratch my rhinestones once I have to file off the rest of the cup, which is right now. As you can see, I am filing it off and it's not getting close to any of the rhinestones already on the cup. So take off all that shine because we don't want that. We want those rhinestones to stick on, and once you're done doing that, just clean off that dust with some alcohol so it is ready to get bedazzled. So now that we are done filing it off, I am going to place down the epoxy. I love to use epoxy. This is a Bob Smith 30-minute epoxy I am using, and I am only placing as much as I know I can work with within those 30 minutes, okay? So that's what you're gonna want to also do. Don't put so much, don't fill up the whole cup with, glue or epoxy, whatever you're using, because you're not gonna have enough time to place all those rhinestones. So I would suggest working one row at a time, especially at the beginning, so you know that line is perfectly aligned how you want it to be. So go around. I am using, like I said, SS20 Crystal AB rhinestones. Just so you guys know, if you want to go and buy some of those rhinestones, that is what I am using on this cup. So also, if you are using epoxy, just go back and double check that all the rhinestones are exactly where you want them to be, because they do tend to run depending on how fresh your epoxy is. Just always double check. Just a little tip there. So that's what I'm doing right there, is double checking. So I am about to be done with this first row, but I ran into a little problem already, a gap. So what you want to do is go back, double check everything is nice and neatly placed, that there's no gap in between the other rhinestones. And after I did that, I realized I still had that little gap. So since it is my first row, I already don't want to start filling in with gaps. I really don't. I hate gaps with a passion. So what I do is spread it out like I just did right there, and start leaving a little gap in between the other rhinestones. I really don't like gaps, so this is just a little cheat sheet that I like to do. If you don't like to do that, if you're a perfectionist, I would suggest just filling in your gaps, like, for everything else, which is placing a smaller rhinestone, which is a 16. And this is something else I like to do with the tip of my pickup tool. I like to go around the lid, make sure that the rhinestones are not going over the edge of the cup, because you don't want them bumping into your lid and then your lid's not gonna fit correctly. So here, as you can see, I am working on my second row, and just keep going around and filling it up. I am going for a honeycomb type style on this cup, so that is a pattern I am following. So I am done with the second row and I am moving on to my third. So I am done with my third row, and I actually decided to take a little break here. So one thing I can tell you, if you are using epoxy and you want to take a little break, you know, because it's impossible to finish this cup within, you know, one sitting. So what I like to do is feather out any excess epoxy that, you know, I did not use. Right here you can see there's a lot of epoxy left. So what I like to do is feather it out, because that epoxy is not going to wait for your break to be over, you know. So you want to feather it out with a toothpick or something, you know, Sharpie like that, and make sure it's feathered out so it's not bumpy, so it's not going to be bothering you later on placing glue and placing your rhinestones on. So just a little tip. So I am back here. I am working on my next rows. Moving on, I like to flip the cup around. I'm still working from the top of the cup to the bottom of the cup, but I actually flip the cup because like I said, I am using epoxy and I want my rhinestones to be running down, not up, you know. But one thing you also want to do is double check your rhinestones all the time, because you don't want them bumping into the other rhinestones. So here I bumped into a gap, and that gap was big enough for me to place a rhinestone in. So I will go ahead and fill that in with a 16 and keep on moving. So like I said, it's impossible to do a cup like this without bumping into gaps. So you want to go ahead and fill in those gaps with a smaller rhinestone. And make sure you place the rhinestone right in the middle, not too much to the top or too much to the bottom of that line of that row that you're working in, but just right in the middle, okay? And keep on moving. Keep working on that cut. Another thing I like to do when I do bump into a gap is just place the rhinestones as they should go, and then skip that little gap where you know a big size 20 is not gonna fit, and skip it and go back to it once you're done with that row. So you see how I left that one empty, because I know it's gonna need a fill. So I just skip it, keep working on the rest of the row, and I'll go back after and then fill in those gaps with whatever size you need. Sometimes you do go into a gap where a 16 won't fit. So what do? Just move on to the next size, which is like a 12. And then fill it in with the 12. Once I start getting to a little gap that maybe not even a 10 will fit, I will just fill in my gap like how I do. I spread it out and just keep it moving. You know, that's just how I do it. I don't want to put a size 8 in there, because that's way too small and I'm going to be able to see through the cup. So I just spread it out the way I showed you guys at the beginning and keep on moving. That's just something I do. So you see, you can't even see the fills. You can barely see my spreads. You know, you got to be staring at it. You see how I did a spread right there? And then the other fills on top of it. I mean, you got to be staring it down so you can see the difference. So just go ahead and do that if you want to do it. Just showing you guys how it looks. That's my spread right there. And keep on moving. You gotta be staring it down so you can see the difference, or you won't even see it. So that's how it's looking so far. So go ahead and do the rest of that till you get to the logo. So the more you feel comfortable, the more you do it, you'll feel more comfortable doing more rows at one time. So just depending on how you feel, go ahead and do that. If you don't feel comfortable enough doing more than one row, then stick to one row. You know, no rush. Work at your own pace so you can do this as perfectly as possible. So here we have gotten to the logo. So this is why I went on ahead and did the logo, the outline of rhinestones around the logo already. Because once I get to this part, I don't want to have any trouble with it, having to do, you know, the circle, and then it's just too much. So I like to go ahead and do it already. So now all I have to do is basically fill in around the circle that I already did. You see how I'm filling it in? I want my lines to be as perfect as possible. So I'm filling it in. Obviously a SS20 is not going to fit in between that line. So I'm filling it in and keeping my lines going. So see what fits. Don't try to squish any rhinestones that don't fit in a spot. If they don't fit, put a smaller size, you know, because you don't want rhinestones all clumped up all over the place. So you see how I'm placing little tiny ones in between there? I use sizes to do the gaps from sizes SS16 all the way to SS5. So if you want to go ahead and use those sizes to fill in little gaps, as you can see right there, that's what I did. I do the outline. I don't like to do my fill-ins right next to the logo. I rather do one outline of rhinestones and then fill in my gaps, because it gives that illusion that there is no gaps. You see that? You have to be staring it super close so you can see those fill-ins. But with that outline around the logo, it just gives it a neater, clean look. So once you get close to the logo, as you're putting more lines in, you wanna measure, see what fits, and then go off that and do your fillings. So as you can see there, I don't place the SS20 right next to the logo because I know a 20 is not going to fit there. So I just skip that part and then leave it empty and then go back to it and fill it in. And it just blends right in. You can't even see the difference. Only place what fits. Like I said, do not try to squish any SS20s in there if they don't fit. See how I skipped that little gap? Because I already knew a 20 wasn't going to fit. So I move it to the next lane, fill in the other gaps, and then I go back and fill it in. And that's what you do for the rest around the logo. Every time you have a line, place it like that and then just go back and fill in your gaps. So now we have arrived to the section where the 3 Starbucks cup lines are at. So if you don't want to put those black lines, you can go ahead and skip this and keep bringing up your cup like we have been doing. If you do want to place the black lines, I like to do it because I feel like it gives more of that Starbucks cup look. But if you don't want to, you can go ahead, like I said, keep going. So I'm trying to show you guys that, I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but the black lines on the actual Starbucks cup are not evenly placed. They're off. One side, the lines are actually longer than the other. So when we are placing the rhinestones black lines, you have to make sure that they're evenly placed on each side. And if you see, I didn't put the black lines all the way as though they are on the cup. I actually leave them a little bit shorter just to give it that look. Like I said, that's the look I want, but I don't want those huge, look how long the black line is. It's super long. So I just put around, I think it was like 14 little rhinestones on each side because I want it to be exactly the same on each side. I counted how many rhinestones it took from the logo to where I started my black lines to be the exact amount on each side, and then I counted the same amount of black rhinestones on each side so it can be evenly placed to the middle. So You can see the big difference of the black lines on the cup and my lines that I actually blinged out. So now just keep doing the same thing we have been doing on the rest of the cup. Just keep doing your regular SS20 rhinestone lines. Keep going. Keep doing what I've been telling you guys. Fill in your little gaps with the SS20 wherever you see it will fit. If it does not fit, leave it. And then go back and do your fill-ins. You see what I'm doing right there? I put it wherever I think it's gonna fit. If it doesn't fit, I leave it empty and then I do the fill-ins. You want your lines to be as straight as you can across. Now that we are at the end of the logo, you still want your lines to be as straight as possible. So I'm trying to get a line to make it meet across at the bottom so we can continue doing our cup. So that's what I'm doing right there. I'm seeing what fits. And this is why it's so important to keep your lines as straight as possible. So when it comes down to this, where you have to meet up again, they will meet nice and perfectly with each other. You see how I'm joining the line back up right here? But I'm leaving that gap because the 20 obviously won't fit. So I leave that gap and then I fill it in. So that's why it was important for me to do that outline around the logo. So when it comes to this, you see how the fill-ins are barely even noticeable? Because it gives that illusion that there's nothing there to fill in. It just blends in nice and neatly. That's why I wanted my logo to be nicely round. And that's why I did that rhinestone outline around the logo. So continue doing your lines. Now that we have done the logo and did those fill-ins, we finished the black lines. As I'm doing right there, my third line. I did all 3 lines exactly the same amount of rhinestones, and I kept going. The rhinestones were size SS10, just if you guys are curious to know what size I used. I did 3 same exact lines on each side. And now just do the rest of the cup like we have been doing. Filling in your gaps, making sure you're not leaving any empty spaces, and keep going till you are done with your cup. So I am done doing my black lines, and the rhinestones are small enough where it does not mess up my regular lines that I have been doing on my cup. I did use SS10, like I said before, for the black rhinestones, okay? And I did all lines evenly, and I did do about 14 black rhinestones per line. So this is how it looks right now. You can't even see my fill-ins or my gaps. So you see, we're almost done. So like I said, just keep doing what we have been doing for each line, filling in your gaps with a smaller size, which is a 16 or 12, whatever you might need. Or you can do my little cheat sheet that I do, which is just, you know, spread it out. But don't do it that often, you know, just do it when, you know, like I said, a size 10 or maybe a 8 is gonna start being needed, you know, so you can't really see through the cup. So yeah, just keep doing your lines and fill-ins until you get to the bottom. We are almost done. All that hard work is gonna pay off for your beautiful Starbucks blinged out cup. So let's do a little review of how to fill in your gaps. Do you see right here how when I push the rhinestones, those two rhinestones lift up? So that means a gap needs to go in there. So we skip it. That's what I like to do, skip it, continue your line. If you run into another gap, leave it empty. You see how I left it empty and kept moving? Leave it empty, and when you're done with your row, just go back and fill it in. So you know exactly what's gonna fit on in there later. So I'm done with the row. So now I'm gonna go back, double check everything, and then do my fills. So as you can see here, we are almost done. And like I said, if you feel comfortable doing more than one line, go ahead. Do more than one line, but just make sure you double check your work, that all the lines are as perfectly straight as possible, because you want to have that fine perfect line like we do now at the end of the cup. You don't want your lines all messed up, so yeah, we are almost done. I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you guys liked me showing you guys how to bling this cup. I put into 3 parts. Like I said, I will link the description below for the other videos, part 1 and part 2, the lid and the logo. So yeah, I hope you guys liked this video. I hope you guys learned a lot, and go and bling out your Starbucks cup. I know you're gonna love it, and I know it's gonna be a lot of fun and hard work, but it will be worth it once you are walking around with your beautiful blinged out cup. So yeah, so I hope you guys like this, and keep watching if you want. Go bling out your cup, finish it off, pat yourself in the back, because this is a lot of work and you deserve that applause. So I hope you guys liked it. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.